Everyone in the comments had the same exact question. And to be honest, I was a little confused myself. So here is everything that I've learned about the new workflow for the old, or let's call it classic, masking tools of pen, circle, and rectangle inside Premiere. If you want to learn about the new object mask tool, check out my previous video where all of these comments are coming from. But for right now, we want to get to the classics. For those of you that need the too long did not read version of this, there are two main concepts that you need to remember. Number one is, as you've probably noticed, underneath opacity, we no longer have our masking tools. They've moved them underneath the object mask tool menu, I want to say. So right here, if I scroll over it, it says long press for more masking tools. So if I long press this, we now have those tools back available to us. If I want to do an ellipse mask tool, I can go over here to the Herein lies the first problem that I encountered sometimes when wanting to do this. I am moving my clip around the program monitor. I'm not creating my mask. In the bottom left of your program monitor is the toggle direct manipulation. And right now that is set to do manipulating of the clip and where it's positioned in the program monitor, which is something that I don't want. To get things to work, deselect it by just clicking that icon. Now we can go up to our opacity mask and draw on the program monitor as normal. Be aware that in this newer version of Premiere, when we create a mask, it goes to the unassigned masks underneath the effects controls for that specific clip. Now, if I wanted to assign this mask to the opacity, like what we're used to, just right click and go to change to opacity mask. Alternatively, you could just click and drag it underneath opacity mask, or you could hit Command C or Control C and Command V, and there it is in the opacity. The other issue that most of us are having, especially me, was how do you manually keyframe these masks now? Let me show you. So there are two important factors with this. It's clip versus frame. This is the culprit. It took me a little bit to get used to, but I'm glad that they have these mask adjustment modes as opposed to the old way of doing it. It takes a little bit of a mind shift on how you approach your keyframing. The newer version of Premiere Pro, by default, it is in clip mask adjustment. And this is anything that you do, it will affect the entire clip. What you're used to is frame adjustment. So let me demonstrate. If I move my playhead further into the clip, and let's just say I wanted to manually track this car with this oval mask, you can see that right when I made that adjustment and I clicked and dragged it, it created a position and rotation keyframe here in this unassigned mask. And that's what we're used to. Anytime you move the playhead and you make an adjustment to the mask, it will create a keyframe on its own. Now we've created a total of, 4 keyframes right there. And it's not perfect, but it's moving. You get the demonstration, right? What Premiere Pro is by default is clip. So this has been happening to me, and it's probably been happening to you. So if I go to clip and I want to say continue this mask adjustment to about right here, where it's underneath the tree, watch what happens when I go back. The mask is off. It's no longer on that path. Now, technically, it kind of is still on the path, but it's not on the exact keyframes where I had it before. And this is where the difference between clip and frame come in. Anytime you adjust by clip, you are adjusting everything in that clip. So if you make one adjustment to like over here, it is going to take that movement and translate it to the rest of the keyframes to follow the path to that new position or rotation or whatever parameter that you've adjusted. If you want to just manipulate one specific frame, so if I go back over here and I wanted to pick it up like that, I switch this over to frame and I make my adjustment. Now, if I go backwards, it all stays the same. Those are the two big things. Where and how do you even create a classic ellipse, rectangle, or pen mask? It's right here. And then also, how do you manually keyframe them? It's highlighting the ellipse mask and then making sure that you're in frame to manually keyframe it from frame to frame. If that's all you needed, leave that thumbs up on the video. But for the remainder of this video, I'm going to expand on these concepts and give you a good example of why you would want clip and frame. And in doing so, I'm gonna show you this kind of jimmy rig way to motion track a circle to an object like I have right here. And if you want to stick around to see that, here we go. I do think that this demonstration is going to have a lot of the issues that you may encounter when manually keyframing in this new workflow. So I've created an ellipse just like we did before, and I want to track this throughout the entirety of the clip. So I'm going to track select forward, and I chose this clip specifically because of what we have here in the middle of the clip. There is a tree blocking the tracking of our oval, so we need to manually keyframe to get past that and then pick up the car right here. So when I first did this clip, I thought to myself, all right, we're in clip right now, so I need to switch to frame so I can manually keyframe this. I'm going to click and drag this over to have it pick it up from that spot. So in my mind, I'm thinking, great, once it hits here, it's going to manually move itself over to the spot. But watch what happens when I go backwards. It kind of stays in place and then it slowly gets back to the car. And this is where we need to be cautious of how you set up your manual keyframes for your mask. The reason this is happening is because my transform has keyframes right here. So it's trying to adhere to one, my tracker keyframes, and two, my manual transform keyframes. And Premiere Pro is actually doing the right thing. I just haven't told it the right information. So let me undo those keyframes that I made, and I'm still have that tracking data, but instead of going from right here and creating the manual keyframes, I first delete all of the remaining keyframes that it created because we need to create new ones. And before I even create those new ones, I need to create keyframes here to maintain all of position, scale, rotation, anchor point, all of that stuff. I may not be manipulating these, but just in case in the future, I know that from the beginning of the clip to right here, all of those I want to stay the same. If I move further into the clip and I'm on the frame adjustment mode, I make my adjustment. Again, it has already created the position in rotation for me. And if I am okay with this, I'm gonna be confident that I can track from here. So I'm going to track select forward. And let's see how we did. I'm just gonna kind of scroll backwards, and the middle part is somewhat fine, but that's what we expect. This is a manual linear movement from these set of position keyframes to these set of keyframes. So if I move over here and I want to adjust some more, I can do that. I can move this down a little bit and get it just how I like. And that is much smoother, right? Now, I've been using an oval for all of this, but let's say after I've tracked all of this, I didn't want to use an oval. I actually wanted to make this a perfect circle, and I wanted to add a stroke to that to add a circle around the car to kind of highlight it as it goes around this turn, maybe for something like a sports broadcast or whatever. If it was in frame, like the older version, you would maybe go over here to the scale and change it into a circle like this. But the problem is, once it goes to the next keyframes, it eventually reaches that oval shape because we created those manual keyframes of the height and width. Let me undo this. If I were to switch this over to clip, we are now adjusting the parameters of this mask for the entire clip. So let me get this into more of a circular shape like so. And as I go through, it now maintains that circle. And what we can do here is really cool. So let me move this up a little bit so we got some room. I'm going to duplicate my clip up top. I'm just holding Option and dragging. Then on this top clip, I am now going to change this to an opacity mask. And so you can see what I'm gonna do. I'm going to unenable my bottom clip. So now we're just looking at the top clip. And with this opacity mask, I wanna add a stroke. And for most effects, if you want them to take effect on a masked clip, it doesn't work if you apply it directly to the clip most of the time. What you need to do is nest it first. So I'm gonna right click this and nest it. Mask. Now I'm going to go to my Film Impact dashboard. If you don't have that, just go to Window, Extensions, and then Film Impact Dashboard. And here we're going to look up Stroke, highlight that nested clip, and Apply. Now we have a little stroke. It's hard to see, but once I go back to my effects controls for that nest, we're gonna be able to see it if I change the color here to white. Maybe we want a dual color. So maybe we want green as an outside color, and let's bring that in a little bit. Before I bring back the clip underneath it, I really don't need the car anymore. I just want the circle. So if I go down here and hit hide source, now we just have a circle, right? Watch what happens if I re-enable my bottom clip and then I hit play. Would you look at that? We now have a motion tracked circle all done within Premiere Pro. If you want to do other things, good luck, but at least at least we can have a centered circle, right? I hope in the future the engineers at Adobe add the ability to motion track things inside Premiere Pro, and even if it's just something basic, because it would be awesome to have text here motion tracked to this car. I'm sure they know about this. So the rectangle mask tool and the pen mask tool are very similar in how you implement them. So right here, I'm just clicking around the car really quick, and you could go through and track this forward and backward. One thing to point out here is that if you do have a pen mask, I'm assuming that you probably want to adjust your path as you go along. A couple frames in, and I'm going to switch this to frame. Let's make it so maybe we get like this. And then let's go a couple more frames in. And then if you want to adjust the path like that, remember I'm in frame, so it is going to adjust that as it goes through, as you can see. Another thing to point out really quick with the pen tool, and this is with all versions of Premiere, not just this newer version, if you were to hold Option and click and drag, that's what gives you the Bezier handles. If you hold Option again and click one side of the handle, it allows you to adjust one side, hold Shift, and it does it in increments of, I believe, 45 degrees. I did get another comment about when you go and you start to create your mask, like I'm clicking right now, I don't see the mask that I'm creating. And that's happening because I have a clip highlighted further down in the timeline that my playhead is not above. So if I go back over here, this is the one that I was creating. It's just creating a mask on the clip that you have highlighted. I figure since I've done this mistake several times when recording this tutorial that it may be happening to you as well. One last tip is if you want a perfect square instead of a rectangle, hold Shift while you are placing your square for the first time. This also allows us to use the pen tool if we wanted to add points to this. These are things that you probably already know. And one last one is with the ellipse tool, hold Shift and you get a perfect circle when you are placing it. Or let go of Shift if you want the oval. And there you have it, some tips and pointers on how to do the classic masking tools of ellipse, rectangle, and pen inside Adobe Premiere. If this video was helpful, don't forget to leave that thumbs up. My name's Javier Mercedes, and I hope you're out there living a life of abundance.